Hi, my name is Lydia and welcome to my channel. Thank you so much for clicking on this video. If you are interested in true crime like I am, I invite you to click subscribe. Thank you so much to my returning subscribers. I am so happy to have you here. Welcome. So in my two most recent true crime cases, I had a lot to say about the perpetrators in those cases, but not a lot to say about the victims because unfortunately I did not find a lot of information about them online. However, in this case, there is ample information about the victims because they lived their lives in the public eye. And unfortunately, their shocking deaths kept them in the public eye as well. As far as the killer goes in this case, I will not be speaking his name and I will not be showing his image. And I will not be going into too much about his personal life either. That's what he wanted, notoriety, and he does not deserve it. This is not the story of the unnamed, unshown murderer. This is the case of his victims, Allison Parker, Adam Ward, and Vicki Gardner. Let's begin. At 6:45 a.m. on Wednesday, August 26, 2015, in Roanoke, Virginia, TV viewers were tuned into the morning show. It was on WDBJ7, a CBS affiliate.
There's a special anniversary right around the corner. Smith Mountain Lake is celebrating 50 years next year. WDBJ 7 Mornings' Allison Parker is live along the lake to show us how the business community is honoring that milestone. Gorgeous morning to be at the lake, Allison.
That's right. And once it gets a little bit lighter outside, we'll definitely be out by the water.
At that time, viewers were watching a live segment previewing the 50th anniversary of Smith Mountain Lake, a man-made lake resort that was southeast of the city.
Lake is one of the largest promotional opportunities that the business community here has ever seen. I'm here with Vicki Gardner, the executive director of the Smith Mountain Lake Regional Chamber of Commerce. So there's a lot happening with this 50th anniversary. So what are some things that you have in place to kind of get that celebration going?
Well, today's a great day.
Reporter Allison Parker and cameraman Adam Ward were there to produce several live shots from the lake.
Coming up in the next half hour, we'll go a little bit more in depth about that meeting that she mentioned at the YMCA this afternoon. They're inviting business leaders, community members to pitch ideas of how can the celebration happen.
That's right. And so many great memories of that lake over 50 years.
That's right.
Thanks, Allison.
Their final live shot of the morning was an interview with Vicki Gardner, who was head of the lake's Chamber of Commerce. Overall, it was a tourism piece for the morning show. The three people were standing on the deck balcony, overlooking the beautiful backdrop of the man-made lake. Reporter Allison Parker was holding a microphone up to Vicki Gardner, who was answering questions about the anniversary that was coming up the following year. Cameraman Adam Ward stood only 2 feet away, with his camera hoisted upon his shoulder, intent, looking through the viewfinder, and focused on the interview as well. They were all just doing their job. In her peripheral vision, Vicki Gardner saw a man approaching. At first she thought that it was maybe a maintenance worker, maybe someone with a question, but she didn't think much of it at all. But suddenly the man was raising the gun and pointing it straight at Allison Parker. And then the quiet, early lakeside morning erupted into chaos.
We have a special breaking news report as we continue following a developing story this morning. Police have confirmed a shooting at Bridgewater Plaza at Smith Mountain Lake. It happened shortly before 7 this morning.
Allison Bailey Parker was born on August 19, 1991, to parents Barbara and Angie Parker. She had a brother named Drew as well. They were an artistic family. Barbara, Allison's mother, worked for a local arts association, and once upon a time her father Andy had appeared on Broadway when he was younger. Allison attended Martinsville High School in Martinsville, Virginia, graduating in 2009. She was interested in music as a teen, playing both trumpet and French horn in school. Not only a talented musician, Allison excelled in math and science as well, appearing as a member on the school's robotics team. She also enjoyed swimming competitively, and she was a gymnast and a dancer as well. She was beautiful and graceful.
While growing up in the small town of Martinsville, Virginia, she found the thrill in working on her high school's robotics team.
As a kid, she thought she might go on to be a doctor or a pharmacist because she excelled so much in math and science, but then she fell in love with the written and the spoken word. Allison attended Patrick Henry Community College and then went on to James Madison University, where she majored in media and communications. In college, Allison studied journalism, she joined a sorority, she was a news editor, and she also was a calculus tutor as well.
Even tutored others in calculus.
She was just scratching the surface of her potential. I saw her the first time when I met her, and she left my office, and I said, Allison had that it factor.
She graduated with her degree in 2012. While she was in college, Allison interned at WDBJ-7 news station. After graduation, Allison worked as a general assignment news reporter at another news station in Jacksonville, North Carolina. She was there for 2 years until 2014. However, in May 2014, she was hired by WDBJ-7, the place where she had interned in college, as a correspondent for their morning show, and she fit right in. In a recorded video Allison made in July 2015, only 2 months before her death, Allison shared some personal details about her life. She reminisced about a trip that her family took to the Grand Canyon, and she also talked about her family's love of hiking and whitewater rafting. She talked about her favorite food, which was Mexican, and she said the spicier the better. She also talked about her favorite TV shows at the time, Breaking Bad, Mad Men, and House of Cards, and Girl After My Own Heart because I loved all those shows as well. Still do. Allison also spoke of her support of local community theater, and she said that she thought that supporting the arts in general was a great endeavor for anyone. Adam Ward was born on May 10, 1988, and he grew up in Salem, Virginia. He attended Salem High School, and he excelled in sports, playing tennis and football. His father was the school guidance counselor, and Adam was a member of the Spartan football team who happened to be the state champions in 2005. Adam loved sports, and his yearbook stated that his ambition was to be a sports editor. Beyond having a strong work ethic, Adam loved to have fun, and he was the life of the party. There were plenty of goofy photos of him in the high school yearbook as well. Adam graduated from Virginia Tech in 2011 with a degree in communications and media studies. He was a devoted fan of the Hokies, Virginia Tech's football team, and he rarely missed a game, even after college. He was a sports nut. Right after graduation, Adam began working at WDBJ-7 as a videographer and an occasional sports reporter. It was his dream job, because someday he wanted to work in sports broadcasting. Adam's family and friends thought of Adam as a walking sports encyclopedia. He played on the company softball team where, of course, he excelled there too. Adam was just a fun guy all around. The crime was well planned, and the gunman wanted his actions to have as much publicity as possible. His insider knowledge of working in live television and working for the same news station that the victims had worked for helped him to know exactly when and where and how to approach the live broadcast that was happening at Smith Mountain Lake. He wanted revenge. He had waited a long 1.5 years to plan these actions, and now he was ready to carry them out. So he was patient that Wednesday morning. He knew just when and where and how he wanted to approach those 3 people just doing their job and to carry out his evil, deadly plan.
The shooting happened right before 7 at Bridgewater Plaza during WDBJ-7's live shot covering Smith Mountain Lake's 50th anniversary. Reporter Allison Parker was interviewing Smith Mountain Lake Regional Chamber of Commerce Vicki Gardner when the attack happened.
Not only did he make sure that Adam's camera was rolling and that the live TV footage was being broadcast to the area, and that all 3 were very concentrated on doing their work, he had brought his own camera as well. He was recording a video from his own personal point of view, a video that he would later upload to his Facebook and Twitter accounts. It would be an eerie first-person view of a murder. As the gunman walked up and Adam's camera continued to roll, in the next few seconds, the TV viewers at home heard the haunting sounds of 8 gunshots and the fleeting image of Allison Parker screaming and running away.
I heard the shots, I heard the scream, and I was taken aback. I got up from my chair and I told my husband, I think I just witnessed something happen.
Immediately, the staff at the news station control room realized that something had gone horribly wrong, so they stopped the live feed, and they cut to a stunned anchor woman sitting at the anchor desk in the studio. In the control room, however, the staff could see what Adam's camera continued to record, even though that the live feed had been cut. The camera was still rolling.
WDBJ editor Michael Episcopo was working behind the scenes when the shots were fired.
The camera didn't shut off, and I could see the video that was transmitting through Adam's camera.
Episcopo saw cameraman Adam Ward's watch. His hand was not moving.
The camera had fallen as Adam had fallen, but the camera recorded an additional 9 gunshots, making a total of 17. And it also caught an image of the shooter.
I saw a figure, I saw sparks, and I saw this coward shoot him point blank.
Staff in the control room knew who he was. They recognized him. He was a former coworker who had been fired a year and a half earlier. The WDBJ news station general manager would later report that his dismissal had been a result of multiple incidents stemming from his anger issues. He was described by the news station staff as being unhappy, difficult to work with, and overall he had just been causing problems for everyone he came across. To them, it seemed that he was always looking out for people to say things to which he could take offense. The manager went on to say that eventually, after many incidents of his anger coming to the forefront, we had to dismiss him, and he did not take that well at all. On the day he was fired, he refused to leave the building, and the police had to be called for him to be escorted out. In the wake of his dismissal, the ex-employee made public complaints about both Allison Parker and cameraman Adam Ward. He filed an official complaint with the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission against Allison Parker, and also complained that Adam had reported him to Human Resources. His claim was dismissed. Later, the public would learn that this was not the first time that the gunman had problems in his workplace. He had previously been fired from 2 or more other small market news stations who also recognized his anger issues and where he also had many conflicts with his coworkers. And after those previous dismissals, the gunman had also filed complaints as well. His whole career in TV, he had bounced from job to job across the country, but finally, after the dismissal from WDBJ in 2013, he could no longer find work in television. So he took a job at a call center, and he planned his revenge.
How do you know? How do you know that something like this is going to happen? You know, you use all the news cliches, senseless, and all those words. What does it mean? It is senseless, obviously, and it'll take a long time to explain.
Mark says he's been in this business for 42 years, and he has prayed an event like this would never happen.
Because the shooting had happened on live TV, fortunately, the police and the ambulance were prepared to arrive on scene immediately. They were only located 5 minutes away. And there, at peaceful Smith Mountain Lake Resort, on an early Wednesday morning, amid the shops and the retail businesses that were not quite yet open for business for the day, they found the bodies of reporter Allison Parker and cameraman Adam Ward. They had both died at the scene from multiple gunshot wounds.
Our hearts are broken. I cannot tell you how much they were loved, Allison and Adam.
We're all in a state of shock here. You can hear people behind us in the newsroom crying. I mean, it's just really...
The gunman had fled, and there was one survivor. Vicki Gardner, originally from New York, had been the executive director of the Smith Mountain Lake Regional Chamber of Commerce since 2002. She was gearing up for the 50th anniversary of Smith Mountain Lake Resort, a retail and entertainment complex on a man-made lake, and was excited about the interview that Wednesday morning. When the gunman had appeared, shooting and killing Allison and Adam, she had immediately dropped to the floor, curling up into the fetal position and laying very still. She was hoping that the gunman would think that she was already dead. But before he fled, the gunman did return to Vicky, shooting her once in the back with a bullet that grazed her spine. Vicky would later say that she thought that the gunman had just simply run out of bullets. Otherwise, he would have shot her more.
It was just very quiet. I don't know whether he tried to fire off a couple more rounds. I was just concentrating on being so still that he wouldn't shoot me again. And then it was quiet.
Vicky was whisked away to the hospital where she underwent immediate surgery. Her right kidney had to be removed, along with part of her colon as well. She stayed in the hospital for 2 weeks, eventually making a full recovery. Meanwhile, the gunman was on the run, and he was taking the next steps in his carefully laid out plans. After he had fled the crime scene, he uploaded his personal video of the murders to both his Facebook and Twitter accounts. Facebook and Twitter immediately suspended his accounts and deleted the video. The next step was to send out his manifesto. 2 weeks earlier, he had obtained the fax number of another affiliate station under the ABC News network. 2 hours after the shooting, he sent that station through fax a 23-page letter. It was part suicide note and part manifesto. In the letter, he expressed admiration for the gunman who had opened fire and committed mass shootings at Virginia Tech and Columbine High School. The letter also described how he felt that he was unfairly treated and unjustly fired from his job at WDBJ. He described himself as a human powder keg who was just, quote, waiting to go boom, unquote. By the time he sent out his fax, the police were already in pursuit. Because the news staff had recognized him, they knew who he was and they were tracking his cell phone. They had tracked him to his abandoned car at the local airport. He had abandoned the vehicle and he had picked up a rental car and took off. He was driving north on the highway when a license scanner picked up his license and let the police know where he was. They were on the way to stop him and they set up a roadblock attempting to stop his car. Instead, the gunman avoided the roadblock, sped away, and eventually careened down the embankment off the side of the road.
A state trooper, her name is Pam Neff. She was on Interstate 81 at the 66 exit ramp. I'm very familiar with this area. I have family about 20 miles up the road. This exit ramp is about 18 miles from us. Now, Trooper Neff had just entered the latest description of the vehicle police put a "be on the lookout for" into her tag reader.
The car slid to a stop among the bushes, and before the police could approach, the gunman took out his gun, turned it on himself, and shot. The gunman was dead, and in his car the police found various items including a Glock pistol with several magazines and ammunition, a cell phone, letters, notes, a to-do list, a suitcase containing 3 license plates and several disguises including a wig. It looked as though his plans had been to go on the run, but when he was caught, his plans changed.
About an hour ago, we learned the suspected gunman in the attack shot himself. It happened on Interstate 66 in Fauquier County.
Local, state, and federal police have been in pursuit all morning. He then led officers on a chase before running off the road and crashing. Once investigators approached the vehicle, they saw that he had shot himself.
And with the gunman now gone, thankfully, the community could now refocus on the victims of this horrible crime, where the focus should always be on the victims.
His golfing buddy Adam and his friend Allison, who he called a shining bright firework.
That's what you remember. I'm not going to remember a gutless coward gunning them down. No way.
Adam Ward was described as a happy-go-lucky guy, and that certainly showed in the pictures that were shown of him. Those who knew him said that his life was never once about himself and that he always put others before him.
Those who knew Adam say he had that special ability to light up a room whenever he went in it. WSLS 10's Bethany Teague spoke with several people at Salem High School today where Adam graduated.
If there's one thing that Adam Ward will be remembered for here in the Salem community, it's his smile. Teachers, principals, and coaches are in shock today as they reflect back on their time with Adam. He played tennis and football here at Salem High School and was a part of the 2005 Spartan Football State Championship team. Those who knew Adam best say his life was never once about himself. Instead, he always put others first. Given his strong work ethic, Adam's choice to become a journalist came as no surprise to those who watched him grow into a man.
Adam was engaged to a coworker, a producer at the same news station. And that Wednesday, that day was his fiance's last day at the job. She had taken a job in Charlotte, North Carolina at another news station, and Adam planned to follow her there as well. Adam was leaving the news station as well. He just didn't leave soon enough. Adam's colleagues at WDBJ remembered him as always having a smile, and any time that they had to go out on a news story with him, Adam would always make it fun. Adam was only 27 years old at the time of his death. Allison Parker had celebrated her birthday only a week before the time of her death. She was only 24 years old.
So we just caught somebody going 69.
24-year-old Allison Parker was a sharp and bubbly reporter who covered everything from Bacon Fest to a recent special on child abuse.
Experts say neglect is a form of child abuse that is just as damaging as physical or sexual abuse.
Allison had been dating Chris Hurst, an anchor at the news station. They had been dating for 9 months and they had just moved in together.
She had just moved in with boyfriend Chris Hurst, an anchor at the same station.
We would go to station events and appearances together as reporter and anchor, not as boyfriend and girlfriend, but we couldn't even really hide it there either because we just were so in love.
Chris described her as the most radiant woman he had ever met. After her death, Allison's parents recounted all the amazing accomplishments that she was able to achieve in her young life, and that she was very driven and very ambitious, and she wanted to do so much more. Everything she tried, she just excelled at, and Allison's colleagues described her as energetic, radiant, beautiful, fun, and a very hard worker. She was definitely going places. After recovering from the wounds that she sustained during the shooting, Vicki Gardner continued on as executive director of the Smith Mountain Lake Chamber of Commerce, returning to the scene of the crime to go back to work. Her office window even looked out on the same exact spot where the shooting had occurred. But now there was a monument there, a plaque in memory of Allison and Adam, along with binoculars, to look out at the beautiful lake, which was the backdrop during their news segment. In an interview that Vicki gave when she retired from her position in 2019, she said that she never considered not going back to her job. She said that she felt she still had a lot of good things that she wanted to do for the lake community that she loved, and that her near-death experience had inspired her even more to continue on in that work. In the wake of the tragedy, both Allison Parker's boyfriend and her family were inspired to public service in order to change the world for the good. They wanted the impact of Allison's life to reach beyond her death. At the time of the shooting, Chris Hurst was working as an anchor at the news station, but after a year and a half, he decided to leave his job in TV and turn toward political office. In 2017, he ran for a seat in the Virginia House of Delegates, and he made gun control reform one of his top legislative priorities, and he campaigned on that issue. He also ran on LGBT rights, education, mental health, and Medicaid expansion. He defeated the incumbent and he won the seat in November 2017. Groups calling for tighter restrictions on gun ownership and purchase celebrated his victory while also saluting his determination to rise from tragedy to serve in public office. And during his first legislative term, Chris Hurst signed 15 bills into law. He ran again in 2019 and won, and he was presented with an award from the Virginia League of Conservation Voters for his environmental work while in office. He ran again for a third time in November 2021, but he was defeated by his challenger. As of 2022, His social media accounts report that he is now writing and that he is in a happy relationship. Like Chris Hurst, Allison's parents became staunch gun control advocates in the wake of the shooting. In particular, Allison's father, Andy Parker, became a strong advocate, urging politicians to strengthen the laws against gun violence.
This story has got to be ongoing, and it's got to be on the front burner. You know, my life has been ruined, but if anything can come out of this, you know, this mission will be my life's work from here on. And I'm not gonna, you know, as somebody said, you know, which is aptly true, you know, they messed with the wrong family.
He criticized the National Rifle Association, the NRA, for preventing lawmakers from passing gun control legislation. He lobbied for lawmakers to tighten background checks for gun purchases, and he also pushed for better care for those with mental illness, and for the government to look to the dangerous connection between mental illness and loose gun control laws. Andy's fight for better gun control measures also led him to seek political office, as Allison Parker's boyfriend Chris had done. In 2017, Andy considered a run for Congress in Virginia's 6th District, but decided that it was not the right time. And it's not only gun control measures that Andy is passionate about. After his daughter's murder, Parker has taken on the tech companies for failing to take down the videos that depicted the actual shooting, filing complaints against Facebook and Google with the Federal Trade Commission. Andy specifically was fighting to have the video of the murder taken down from YouTube, where it kept popping up again and again after each attempt to permanently delete it from the site. In 2019, Andy testified in front of the Senate Judiciary Committee, arguing that tech companies should not be shielded from liability over what users post, specifically violent content. In February 2022, just last month at the time of this recording, Andy announced that he was trying some out-of-the-box thinking to get the video of his daughter's murder offline permanently. He wants to create a NFT of the 17-second video of the fatal shooting, in the hopes that it will give him the power to remove clips from the internet through copyright protection.
The issue is out there, and it's growing even more of an issue, a recognizable issue. And the way to tackle it is through Congress. I mean, that's the only recourse I have left.
Andy describes it as an act of desperation, and legal scholars agree that it probably will not work. It's an interesting situation because Andy does not legally own that footage after all. It's the property of WDBJ News Station, actually the property of the parent company of the news station where Allison Parker worked. And the company has always denied Andy any rights at all to that footage. And this year, in January 2022, Andy Parker also announced that he's running for Congress. He is currently seeking the Democratic nomination in Virginia's 5th Congressional District.
Andy Parker of Henry County announced his candidacy today. His daughter Allison was shot and killed on live TV at Smith Mountain Lake back in 2015. Parker has been working to remove videos of her death from the internet and hopes to help others in situations similar to his own.
He is facing an uphill battle because that district is always considered solidly Republican. Andy has stated that he wants to limit the influence of giant tech companies and billionaires and to, quote, make the internet safer for kids and families, unquote. The primary election will be held this year in June 2022. Andy feels that he has always had his daughter Allison's spirit by his side as he has fought for all these things to honor her memory. I wish him well. Thank you so much for your time in watching this video. As always, I appreciate it. I know that your time is valuable, and I am so glad that you chose to expend some of it watching this video with me. If you liked it, I hope you give the video a like. And if you liked it a lot, please consider subscribing. I am getting closer and closer to the 1,000 mark, and it would be so great if you could help me out. Also, let me know what you think about this case in the comments below. I love discussing the case with you, and you always have some great thoughts to share, so tell me what you think. As always, as you know, it was my honor to tell you the stories of the victims of this horrible crime. May their memory be held near and dear in the hearts of those who loved them and cared for them. And as always, everyone out there watching, please take care. I'll be thinking of you. Take care. Bye-bye.